storytellers. We are the voices in media spaces, communication and news.
Coming to you during this 16 days of activism campaign period.
Kuongelea mambo ya gender.
Tunataka kubadilisha how we communicate the gender issues na GBV as the communication fraternity.
Ndio to make sure kila story inasema kwa heshima
and in a gender sensitive way.
Kila mtu ako na role yake.
Na tukisaidiana tuta end GBV na kila msia feel protected.
Human rights is an issue by itself. That's actually the first and foremost place I would start with. When you're talking about human rights, which is the linkage to why gender is actually a conversation that should be happening and continuously progressing the change on how men and women relate, but not necessarily subdue either gender. Because at the end of the day, the one thing that connects all of us is actually humanity. And again, I'm also speaking from the perspective of Global South, what you guys would call global majority, but specifically based in Africa. There were actually cultural practices and norms when it came to how to support, not even subdue, support, and it's the story that is never told, support both men and women in their tasks, in their roles and responsibilities in that community. Where did we lose it? I mean, honestly, and it's something we keep saying, let's not blame each other for it. We need to remember, especially as Africans, remember you are born in a culture and society that's highly different, and then you are raised in the same culture and society that defined your norm. For most people in relationships, you realize when they're talking about background and baggage, it's actually about where they were born and raised, because that formed their mindset, even when they got into school. And so if you are honest about your background and baggage, there's some good background and baggage, definitely. But if you're not honest about it, especially the negative norms that you think is norm, but it's not, then already lose the fight on how we help the gender conversation happen.
Sasa hivi such an the kitu. Unakumbuka ukigrow up venye tunaangana hii difference ya venye maboy wanakuanga treated na venye mademu wanakuanga treated. Ukifikiria hata maybe wewe na sister yako, unapata when a boy does a mistake, akivunja glass, akivunja kitu, it's just boys being boys. Kijana anakuja kama amejichafua, boys being boys. Amekuja home late, it's just boys being boys. But if a girl comes home late, that is recklessness. If a girl breaks a glass, that is carelessness. Mara sijui hajichungi, hayuko well behaved, nani atamuoa? So unaona such things, such double standards, ndo zina create a certain an unrealistic level of perfection kwa women. Na ndio maana tunaona later on in future, translate now to women, unapata men wako more aggressive. Na si aggressive in terms of violence, aggressive in terms of chasing opportunities, financial freedom, na vitu kaa hizo. So unapata hata maybe kwa media, na hii inakuchallenge angalia kwa interviews. Unapata mostly ni men wanaongeanga, si ndio? So mbona women wako able to see all women, just think about it. Mbona not ladies, it's not ladies coming up more often to speak up about issues that concern them, because there are such things. Unaona, ndo ukikuwa adult bado zinakuwa affect. Na pia unaona hizi double standards si ati zina affect women peke yake, hata think about it. Fikiria in the context of men. Umeambiwa usiwahi lia, mwanaume machozi yake inaingia kwa tumbo inamfanya anasikia njaa. Kuna sijui ati mwanaume usionyeshe emotions, ukijam don't show it. Like umefunzwa tu bottle up everything on the inside. What do you think happens later on? Maybe uko in a relationship ama mtu amekutrigger tu kidogo. Of course, ita blow up. Ndio ina manifest as either violence, inaweza kuwa against women or another man, but still violence. Ina manifest as violence, as femicide, or as any other thing. But ikitu ungedeal nayo from that point. So unaona hizi vitu za culture venye tumekuwa brought up ndio inaleta such issues. Lazima tukue very careful about that. Now, our role as communication specialists ni ku make sure hizi vitu ziko highlighted. Ku make sure wewe kama mtu mwenye unajua hizi vitu una pick out these women who can speak more, na una encourage other women to speak more. Also too, creating safe spaces. Ndio hata ule mwenye anafeel kama hayuko ready ama anajishuku, akona safe space to express themselves. This is how we get there. And remember, it is never me versus you. It is not men versus women. it is me and you versus the problem. Men and women versus the problem. So in these 16 days of activism, let's remember that the enemy is not men, the enemy is not women, the enemy is GBV, the enemy is digressive cultural norms, and the enemy is femicide. So let's try to beat the enemy, not each other. Sawa sawa?
It's the right opportunity for women who are in the media to open spaces for other women to come on board and share their stories, give insights. We are now seeing more women leaders, women heading media stations, women heading newsrooms, women being editors. Spaces have now started being created where you can share your stories, you can learn from other women. So I'd actually encourage women not to shy off from these spaces that have been created. Wherever space you are at the moment, you still have the power to change the narrative. A story that you give today might actually encourage another woman. So you might be talking today about an experience you've probably lived, but it could help heal a soul who's watching you. You have the opportunity to approach media houses, to talk to editors. I believe with this empowerment that we will be able to change the stereotype and also create safe spaces for them to share their stories.
Hi, my name is Wanjiro Thuku and I am an author of this book, Dawn of Fortune. Now we are talking about gender. There's a lot that is going on in the African society. There are so many girls that are being married off at a tender age. And when I say tender, I'm talking about 9 years all the way before 18 years. Gender-based violence is so wide that we cannot even exhaust it even today. So that's part of gender-based violence. And now we are here as the media to showcase that actually we hold so much power to change the narrative. You know, the good thing about this is the fact that it doesn't just focus on the girl child. There's so much that goes around, you know, the narrative discussing the role of a man in the society, because now gender-based violence or gender inequality does not only focus on the girl child, the boy as well. The same gap that I saw is the same gap that you can see through reading materials focusing on gender-based violence, gender, anything to do with gender inequality and all of that stuff, you know. So you can change the narrative. I have tried on my end because I saw the gap. You can see the gap. And as a parent, as an uncle, as a guardian, I welcome you and I challenge you to read this book. Read it. Let me see what you have to think about it. Let's see whether your eyes are going to be opened to GBV and gender inequality and every other topic we are discussing around gender.
In the recent past, especially this year, we've seen so many cases of GBV and femicide, and most of those cases happen because one party feels stronger than the other. In most cases, in a GBV na happen, kunakuanga na imbalance in power. You find that most of the times the man is more powerful than the woman. I mean, maybe economically, in terms of physical strength, and psychologically. So because of that, they feel the need to maybe overcome the woman and then maybe fight them because they feel physically stronger. Maybe they give threats because they have the muscle, financial power. What I would say is maybe we need more information. These people who feel like they are somehow subdued, they need to get more information on how they can maybe protect themselves, the avenues that they need to go to so that they can get the help that they need, so that they are not subjected to these cases of GBV.
Jana, nilikuwa na watch news. So in that news item, the reporter was on the field and anaongelesha watu kwa barabara. So he was asking something about finances and the economy and the likes, yeah? But then the funny thing, every person this reporter was asking was a man. A man. What do you think about this? It was a man. What is your opinion about this? It was a man. A man. So I was left wondering, why couldn't this reporter, or rather, why didn't this reporter not ask a woman what is their opinion about this matter? Does it mean that the women's opinion don't matter? It's irrelevant? There's a way that whatever this woman says, it is not news, it is not a story to be captured for the media. So what is the missing link here? Yeah? So my point is, as a comms person, I see that there's a gap here. Because over time, it looks like there's a way the media has been portraying the woman as somebody who cannot be successful, hana experience, hezi akaongea vitu zenye zina bring conversation and things like that. So I would like to call upon the media professionals, the journalists and the reporters, when they are doing these stories, to be more gender sensitive. Wajiulize. So when they are doing this story, is it balanced? Is it showing the expertise, the experience, the professionalism of this person, besides the fact that they're a man or a woman? So now, as we mark 16 days of activism, I would like to urge the media to recognize the power they have to enable women to stand up, have a voice, and speak against any form of violation, and in this case, gender-based violations.
As someone who has worked both in corporate and now in the development space, I appreciate the role that communication has in advancing the gender conversation. In the corporate space, sustainability is currently the buzzword, and it's important for us as we communicate our impact in the society as well as what we are doing internally to always wear the gender lens. Currently in the development space, where I'm responsible for telling our project participant stories as well as communicating impact of our projects to various stakeholders, including our donor, it's very important that I wear that gender lens to ensure that I'm representing both genders and ensuring that they are always put at the forefront in various development conversations that are currently ongoing. It's my role to ensure that our projects are communicating the value that we are having on women in the different communities that we work with. We all know that gender-based violence happens where there is a power play, and for us it's important that we are economically and socially and financially empowering women in these communities to ensure that these power dynamics are reversed, and thus reducing the vulnerabilities that would subject them to for any form of violence. Therefore, towards the 16 days of activism, I pledge that I will continually wear my gender lens in my work as a communication professional. Thank you.